All right, here we go. We have the third episode of Two Balls, One Hoop. We got myself, Ev, and my fellow co-host and best friend,
Kevin.
Kevin. We got a pretty cool episode today. I think we're gonna disagree on a few things here, which is good. That's kind of why we're starting the podcast here because we both got some strong NBA opinions. Nothing too hostile here, but we are going to be going over um, our NBA sort of predictions, but also more or less confined to the standings. We're gonna go through the 1 through 10 seed, which I had to kind of come up on a whim here, my 9 and 10 seed for both, because Kev, you
The
you
plane.
you can explain it again because
Right. I mean, as the co-host of the show, I know it's one of our obligations to do further research, which one of the hosts of the show neglected to do before the show.
we've been
But
terrible at that, by the way. We've been so
yeah,
bad at that.
we've been really bad at that. But apparently, because of the play-in tournament, 7, 8 seed, 9, 10 seed, we have to consider that for the first time ever as well. So I don't blame Evan, but a little bit more research would have done a little bit better.
I mean, I have the graphics, I have
That's
the
true. That's
recording
true.
setup. This
That's
show
true.
wouldn't function without me. So you did your
Also,
little bit of homework. You wrote notes in your phone
uh,
and looked up rules on your phone.
also, I'm really glad that I'm decked out in Celtics gear for this show.
Hey, it's a neutral NBA podcast.
That's true. You don't know what team I'm rooting for. I'm just gonna let you know I'm a New England Patriots fan.
They couldn't guess.
Yeah,
But
you guys
all
don't
right.
know.
Okay, let's stay the course here. How does the playing game work?
Okay, so the playing game apparently it's like this, and bear with me. This is gonna sound like it's gonna put your brain in an absolute ball of mazes, but so here's how it goes: the seventh seed is gonna play the eighth seed, and the winner of that gets the seventh seed. The loser of that game plays the winner of the 9-10 seed game. So those two teams have to play, and the loser of the 7-8 seed game and the winner of the 9-10 seed game, whoever wins that gets the eighth seed. That's how it works.
So that's why when we go over these predictions, we're gonna go 10 teams deep because I guess
Yeah.
technically, we're looking at all playoff options, but at the same time, still like the numbers are very important. Like if Team X finishes 10th, but Kev had him as his eighth at the eighth seed, even though they end up making the playoffs through the play-ins and whatnot, technically that's like a strike against your record, right? Because you had them at
Right.
10. But these are just
Right.
to like encompass the actual playoff teams themselves. So let me pop up on the screen here and we'll say it too for the people listening on iTunes, Spotify, but for all of our lovely viewers on YouTube, I'll pop up what we have so far for Vegas odds. So, do you want to start with the West or the East?
Let's go East.
All right. So, Vegas has, in order here, they have Bucks, Nets, Celtics, Heat, Sixers, Raptors, Hawks, Pacers, Wizards, Magic, and then it goes Hornets, Bulls, Pistons, Cavs, Knicks. So if we're looking at 10 teams here, Kev, it stops off at the Magic there, which to
Right.
win the conference, they're plus 10,000. Uh,
That's that is a Disney like wish. That is not happening.
so before we jump into like our actual predictions here, any of these jump off the page to you kind of like and this is the list we're looking at are the odds to win the conference, but at the same time it pretty much tells us the seeding that Vegas has.
Right.
So any of these jump off at you?
Well,
Good.
this is actually pretty similar to my list, except I think they might have Atlanta a little bit too high.
That's
I
that was
think
the that was what jumped out to me, and then I honestly think not that I think they're going to win this, but I think Toronto might be too low just based on odds. Like I think they're going to be, and we'll reveal this here. I think they're going to be the sixth seed personally, but plus 1,300, like they're triple what the Celtics are to win the conference.
they did lose a lot in the offseason. Ibaka and Gasol is pretty big.
It could be big, yeah. Um,
I
but
know they got Aaron Baines, who's regarded as one of the best big men of all time, but I mean, you can't to make up for those two guys. That's still a major subtraction. So
but to
that
make
I mean,
them like triple what the Sixers odds are, you think that it's that big of a difference?
mm, yeah, maybe not. Probably not. You're right. They probably are a little bit too lowly regarded, but
I mean, I'm not taking that bet no matter what. Like they're not winning the
right.
conference, but just odds wise, I thought that they would at least be a little bit more snug to top there. So,
Also, maybe Miami being listed fourth, not getting enough respect since they just won the Eastern Conference final, the
yeah,
Eastern
but
Conference, basically.
they're tied for third Boston,
Yeah, that's
Heat, and
true.
Sixers are all tied. I'm surprised at the Nets. Now, I'm high on the Nets. We'll get it. We'll throw our predictions up now. I'm high on the Nets, but let me tell you this: since I've been like preaching the Nets on my post game shows, even after they whoop the Celtics, people are like, "Oh no, it's going to be a dumpster fire." It's the type of team that's going to finish as like the 7 seed, but then be great in the playoffs. I'm surprised that like things are starting to turn around for the Nets because from the very get, I kind of had the idea and the thought process that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are going to work well together. They're best friends. They know each other. They knew that what they were getting in bed with, whatever. And I'm interested. I'm now intrigued that Vegas is sort of coming around on that idea because I feel like you're a big believer in the dumpster fire too. But even if we're looking at the list now, you have them as a 3 seed.
I mean, listen, as much as I hate Kyrie Irving, and I'm not even going to get started on that because that guy's just out to lunch somewhere. But even him and LeBron together, they made the finals every year. And granted, it's LeBron. Kevin Durant is not that far off from LeBron's greatness in terms of his ability. In fact, I think Durant right now is maybe a little bit of a better player than LeBron is if he's healthy. Yeah,
Offensively, I think
offensively,
he's
especially.
100% is.
I mean, he hasn't played basketball in a year and a half. I think he's healthy and fully back. People forgot about Kevin Durant.
Dude, he looked good against the Celtics. Like he was just
Nobody
like
no
Kevin
nobody
Durant
can
again.
guard him. And he's gonna, even if Durant was alone, like without Kyrie Irving, I would still put them somewhere in the top four. With Kyrie, if Kyrie keeps his shit together, I think they're gonna be, right where we have them, two or three.
Yeah, so let's reveal our list to people that are not watching and just listen.
Sure,
I'll run through mine and then you can say yours. So
sure.
I have Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Miami, Boston, Philly, Toronto, Indiana, Washington, Atlanta, Charlotte. Again, we went 10 deep because of the play-ins.
Right. And I mean, my list is very similar. We both have Milwaukee at one. I have Miami at two instead of three. I have Brooklyn at three instead of two. Boston at four, Philly at five, Toronto six, Indiana and Washington, and Atlanta and Orlando. So, I mean, our lists are pretty similar.
Yeah,
Um,
there's not much like even when we do have the small misses or small differences, it's a 2-3 seed. Like those could flop. Do you know what I mean?
right.
Or what are we going to argue the 10 seed? Like you think the Magic, I think the Hornets, like big whoop. You know what I mean?
You can do that on your own time. I don't really care whether the Hornets or the Magic make the playoffs. I
Because
don't think anybody does.
neither one of them will win the play in the
No.
playing. I do think that the East severely drops off after maybe 7. I don't think
After six, I don't even think
See,
Indiana
that's
is
what I
that
was gonna
good
say. I don't
anymore.
think people give Pacers credit. I think the Pacers are gonna be like and I'm saying the drop off. I'm not saying the Pacers are that good, but I think they're a clear, like definite 7. I think anything can happen after 7. That might
This
be a
is
better way to put it.
this is a stronger Eastern Conference than maybe in the last 10 years, but it's very top heavy because after six, you have a dumpster fire of teams.
Yeah. Like
And you know what? Washington might end up being better than we think,
I was just about to bring
but at
that up.
this point, I don't know. I still
So
don't know.
so let me ask you this. Did them getting Westbrook, like, would you have put them at the 8th spot without Westbrook? Like
I
with
would not have him.
Wall?
I would not have them in the playoffs with. You mean with Wall?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, with Wall, I probably would put him at
Same.
I'd put him at the same spot.
Okay. I think so too. I just wanted to gauge your sort of whether or not you changed your
They've just
mind.
basically switched out, Wall for Westbrook, and the team is still the same.
Mhm.
It's. I don't think the team's that good.
No, I don't either. All right, let's pop up the West now. We're gonna go back to that odds thing because I think we skipped over the West there.
Yep. I'm glad our lists align though.
This one
We got the
doesn't though.
same
So
thinking going on.
you told me you're Western, and
I'm
I
actually
already
interested. Yeah.
yeah, it's nothing crazy. But all right, so looking at the graphic on the screen, we have the Lakers as the favorite. That the fact that they're even to win the conference, like I think that they odds are they're going to. But the fact that you can't even like make more money than you have to
Yeah,
spend for them to win the
that's
conference is
absurd.
crazy. But we have the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Mavs, Warriors, Jazz, Trailblazers, Suns, Rockets, and then Pelicans in terms of the top 10 for the West. Same thing I asked you about the East. Did any of these jump off to you? I already said the Lakers, just odds wise, it's kind of crazy that a team to win the conference is even. But what is this, the Patriots and the last 10 years or so? But
You know what I just realized? I may have missed the Mavericks in my list.
Oh, you didn't even put the Mavericks.
I may have missed the Mavericks in my list.
I mean, you're cemented in, Kev. You better hope the Mavericks stink.
I have that was an oversight by me. So
Oh
okay,
man.
we'll address that when we bring up my list. Uh, but this list, why are the Warriors ranked fifth?
I think they're just expecting Steph to come back. And these are odds as of today, so it's not has nothing to do with before Clay got injured, anything like that. I think they're just maybe expecting Curry to be Curry, which is wild to me.
I mean, listen, Curry is Curry, but he is also like 33 years old with no Clay and a bad Draymond. That team's not going to be in the fifth spot.
No, and what's their rookie's name?
James Wiseman.
Like, is he gonna be? Are they putting much weight into him? Like, I don't know. So,
As you know, listen, I like Kelly Oubre too. I like James Wiseman. You're not going to get the fifth seed in the Western Conference with
and it's
that.
almost more or less how like the Jazz, Blazers, even Phoenix are all right around there. Like, I'm surprised that they're ahead of them and drastically ahead of them. So looking at the graphic, it's 1,200 plus 1,200 for the Warriors. You go to the Blazers and the Jazz, they're plus 2,000. Like, it's a
Yeah,
drastic difference too. So
huge.
I'm with you. We'll pop up ours here. Yours left the Maverick. I mean, this guy just bragged about doing his research before this show. He
Well,
comes
this just
in.
goes to show how deep the Western Conference is. The Mavericks may honestly not. Well, now that I have to put
Are
them
you
in,
gonna are
but
you really gonna stick to it? No.
no,
Um,
the list will change. But
all right, so you can go over your list, your side of
okay,
things
yeah.
first.
So I have the Lakers and the Clippers. I think one or two. Those guys are going to finish one or two. It doesn't matter which
Yeah,
one.
we flipped on
Denver,
those. I'm not even that big of like
right?
a. I don't feel that strongly about
Yeah,
it.
Denver's I think is going to get better with MPJ being better. He's going to develop more. Portland I think is going to be four, and you have them six. I see. Portland is deep. I like a lot of people are staying quiet on them. They are a deep team. Nurkic is back full. See, people forget Nurkic was out for like the whole year and came
Mhm.
back just for the bubble.
Yep. I
Add
think
Cantor back.
that was one that jumped out because when you were reading these off and I was typing them into the list here, when you said them that early, I was kind of like, oh, okay.
I
I
think
don't hate it though. Like I don't want to like I know I said we have a lot of disagreements here, I guess, but I don't really hate that pick. I don't think that they're any better than um I would say Utah or Dallas, who you seemingly left off.
Yeah,
But
that was an unfortunate oversight. See, if I was doing, so I'll go through the rest. So Utah's five, Phoenix six. I think Phoenix is definitely going to make the playoffs this year with Paul and Booker
mhm,
getting a lot better. Houston, this is also considering Houston still has Harden.
yep.
This could change. Philly might shoot up my list in the Eastern Conference if they end up getting him. I don't know, but as of right now, Houston seven, Golden State eight, New Orleans nine, San Antonio 10. Revise my list right on the spot. This is what I would do. I would take Dallas and put them right in at five. Move Utah to six, Phoenix to seven, Houston to eight,
Bump
Golden
everyone
State
down.
nine. Yeah, bump everybody else down. San Antonio, you're out.
They had such a glimmer of hope and now they're just off
Yeah,
the list.
you guys are out.
So really, so you think Dallas is the 5 seed? I have them as the 3 seed.
That might be a little high.
I don't think we've seen a Doncic and Porzingis like finished product yet. I think that Doncic is obviously only getting better, and it's not necessarily I'm praising them right now, but it's also about the teams below them. Like I don't think that I would say that Denver's the only team that I could see them flopping. So I'll give you that, but I don't think like Utah or Portland or Phoenix sort of on your list are even sniffing Dallas's jockstrap.
I
So it's
think
more or less
all
the
those
teams around.
I think all those teams you listed have one thing, and the Dallas doesn't. They're better defensively. All those teams are a lot better on defense. Like Doncic is not going to play defense.
Yeah,
Porzingis is okay because he's 7'3". I just don't see them being a great defensive team.
yeah, but do you think Phoenix is a defensive team? Because you're putting them in the similar ballpark.
I think they might be slightly better because they have
I don't know.
like Aiton might be like a better defender. Chris Paul's overrated as a defender, but he's still good. Booker's, I mean, the rest of the team, they just have like long athletic guys, so I
Mhm.
think they'll be able to defend.
Well, all right, we'll have to see because that's probably the team that I would you say shot for the most. Like putting them at the 3 is sort of the
Yeah,
outlier.
I think three is definitely high, but that's obviously you can make that pick, but that is definitely the outlier list. I think
What do you
We
think of
both
have I even said mine yet? Yeah?
no. I
Okay, well
slightly went over yours, but
let
you
me
can go ahead.
I'll just go quickly. So I have Clippers, Lakers. That we flip-flopped on those, but again, I'm not tied to like Clippers number 1. I guess I am because of the list. But Clippers, Lakers, Dallas, Denver, Utah, Portland, Golden State, Phoenix, Houston, and OKC. So I have OKC in there. You do not.
A little
And
bit of a shock, to be honest.
you have I think that Shea's only getting better. I do
No
think
New
Horford.
Orleans?
Exactly. There's kind of my shocker here. I think that New Orleans is just a bunch of like young names that people are super, super excited about, but they're not actually a good team. Like I could see Zion Williamson playing 15 games, not even playing. Like the hype on him, and I guess I'm using him as the example here, is ridiculous. Like whatever he was ranked in ESPN's top 100, I forget what it was, but he'd only played like 20 games last year. It was
He
preposterous how
have you have you
overrated he is.
have you seen him? He's lost 20 pounds and he looks really good.
That's fair. And he could prove me wrong. Like I'm not like a Zion hater, but I think the fact that he's like already renowned as one of the top, 40 players in the league, top 30 players in the league is ridiculous.
I
Like I get it,
think
number 1 pick, but like didn't play that much.
I think you with especially getting Steven Adams to like be the defensive anchor of that team and having Redick, Ingram, and Ball, that's a really good defensive team. I think New Orleans is gonna shoot up the standings a little bit. That's why I'm
One,
shocked, especially OKC when they lost all these players and their best player is Shea Gilgeous Alexander right now with like
yeah,
Horford as his like best teammate.
yeah. I
That's a
think that
little bit of
Shea.
a shock.
I like Shea. I think Luka Dort's kind of a sneaky.
Wait, Luca Dortz?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a little sneaky push for becoming
I think his is that it is I think his name is like Lugens.
it's Luka.
It's spelled
I mean, it's
Luents.
Luca. It's Luca. But
We're sorry, Mr. Dort.
I think that they have. So this is why I like OKC. And again, let's not act like I like them. They're my 10th seed in the
Yeah,
West. Okay.
we're fighting over his
Yeah.
crumbs.
I like how, with the exclusion of Horford, how fast, athletic, young, and sort of high flying they are. That they are one of the more run and gun teams in the league this year, no matter how you look at it. They have these young athletic guys, almost all similar size, similar stature, and I think that they're sort of like what was his name? Hamidou Diallo too. That's another guy that kind of fits into that mold. Did I say that wrong?
No, you said that right. It's just that you that whole team makes me feel super old at this point because they're all literally like 21 years old.
I know. But again, we're talking the 10 seed. I'm just saying, my biggest take here is that I think that they probably bumped out New Orleans, and I think New Orleans is just drastically overrated.
I would tend to agree with that.
Like the
I,
Pelicans got a Christmas Day game. Like what? Because it's
because of Zion.
yeah, that's crazy to me. Let the kid play, 22 games in the league
Listen,
before they think he's the prize.
he is box office. No matter he could play one game and he's box office. Everybody wants to see him.
Are you trying to prove my point?
Well,
It's
listen,
just a name.
so you're saying you don't like him, you don't enjoy watching him play?
Uh, I mean, I enjoy watching him play. To your point, but
Did
that
you see
doesn't.
him in the preseason game
That,
the other night? He
yeah,
was
that
eating
does
people
not.
for
That does
breakfast.
not correlate to one being a playoff team, two deserving a Christmas Day game. Like he's a number 1 overall pick, and that's how they're treating it.
Listen, LeBron before he even stepped onto the court, people were saying he was the
That's
greatest player
LeBron.
ever.
Wait, see, this is my point, Kev.
No. But
This is my point.
Zion was the most hyped player since LeBron.
Yeah, and now you're saying he's LeBron. The fact that
No,
you
I'm
brought
saying
LeBron up, the fact that you
he's
brought LeBron up,
worthy. He's worthy of the hype because of what we've seen from him so far.
see, you're
I don't
falling
think
in.
I don't think he's the 11th best player in the NBA right now. But is he more box office, like maybe top 5 box office? I think so.
That's what's wrong with this. That's what the
See, the ESPN bases their list of who do I want to watch more. That's what's wrong with their shitty list. That's why no one reads ESPN. Do you know anybody who has an ESPN Plus subscription?
that has to be
I
so
no.
fake. Like that can't be like they can't generate
Hey,
profit off
let
that.
me put an article written by some jackass behind a paywall and see how many. No one reads it. This is why
Seriously.
nobody likes ESPN.
But either way, I think that that was probably the biggest difference to mine on yours. I think one too. I would say that are you? I know you mentioned them, but you're high on Phoenix compared to what they would be because I even had a tough time
Listen,
putting them there.
I don't like Chris Paul. I've always said he's never going to win an NBA championship. Last year in OKC, everyone thought that team was going to tank and be terrible. He actually showed that he's actually a good leader to me because he led that team to the playoffs. They played well. He's like what, 37 years old? The guy's old.
Yeah.
And he still plays really well as a facilitator. So I think Booker has always needed a point guard like that. He's going to get it, and I think Aiton's going to get a lot better. Every single big man that's played under Chris Paul gets better. I think
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton's going to average 20 and 10.
I think Ayton. I don't know how much better Booker's. I think Booker, like to your point, everyone's kind of going to get better. A veteran point guard leader. I think Booker, you're not going to see as much of a increase. Like I think Booker is a very much create my own shot. Obviously, he's a knockdown
Right.
shooter. Too. I think he's a give me the ball and let me do it, which doesn't matter who's passing it to. But Ayton is the guy that's still kind of falling in and forming his own game in the NBA. He's played well so far, when he's using the performance enhancing drugs and whatnot.
That's
But
true. That's
but
true.
a guy like Chris Paul to come in and turn him into, a Tyson Chandler or something like that, that all of a sudden, this guy is great with Chris Paul.
That guy in the pick and roll is going to be deadly. He honestly reminds me a lot of Nash Stoudemire. Now, obviously, Aiden's not as athletic as Stoudemire, but Nash was older when he started playing with Stoudemire too, and Stoudemire just turned out to average like 23 and 8 every year. Aiden could have that kind of potential just in terms of his size, his power, and having a point guard like Chris might push him over the edge.
Yeah, so I guess you're a fraud Chris Paul hater because all of a sudden you're saying he's like the chosen one.
Listen, he's still not going to win a ring. I don't like that whole banana boat crew with that Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, Carmelo. I don't like any of them. But he is a good leader. He's better than I thought, so I'll give him a
I
little bit
think he
of
proved
credit.
a lot last year. To you, to me too. Like I thought he was almost going to OKC to die. You know what I mean? He's pretty
Yeah.
much cashing in his paycheck, and all of a sudden he was like, "All right,
I thought he
I'm
was going to
actually."
demand a trade. I didn't actually think he was going to play there.
But what do you know? Um, All right, so there we have our list. I think we're a little bit different there. We can review these like, mid-season. We can review them afterwards. I don't think there's anything drastically different in our East. The only difference would be like that latter part of it beating Charlotte versus Orlando. I don't want to buy on that hill. I
I
don't really care. But
no.
teams to watch here, I would say Phoenix, Portland, New Orleans, and then Golden State, just because we're sort of going against Vegas. Like they think they're going to be the fifth seed. I have them at 7. You have them at 8. Um,
Yeah, I feel bad for Clay. I mean, that's just that team's just not at full strength. And Draymond, I mean, you saw what he was doing with people like Alan Smajelniak or whatever the hell that guy's, the white guy on Golden State. That guy sucks. Um, whoever that guy is, he sucked. Um, that team's just, it's not deep. Wiseman, I don't know what he's going to be. I don't think they're just not going to be a high team, high seed.
I know I'm kind of shocked that they're like. I wonder what they would have been at odds wise if Clay wasn't injured. They already
With
had him. They already
Clay,
had him at 5.
I still wouldn't put him over Denver, LA, or the either LA team.
Me too. No, me too. But where would Vegas have put them? If Vegas is still having them slotted in at a
They
lock
probably have him
5,
third. They probably
yeah,
have him third.
I guess isn't too far off. Could that team, obviously with Clay, be like a similar situation as Durant, where we're just forgetting about how good they are?
Potentially, but it's a lot to ask of Clay coming back from 2 devastating injuries.
I agree.
But
Especially when like he was just right about to be back, and then it was like, yeah, by
yeah,
the way, he's out again.
uh,
All
I
right, so
think the
go
other
ahead.
thing just before we transition, the Celtics are going to struggle at the beginning of the year, and I think we talked about this off air before, but no Kemba for what is it, a month almost.
Yeah,
The
and who knows if
team's
that's more like it's
yeah.
you know what I mean. That's the type of injury that gives
Kemba's
no
knee worries
guarantee.
me. His knee worries me. I don't. The more and more I look at him, I'm like, damn, like we got him a little too late in his career because he's on the wrong side of 30. I don't know.
My whole like new idea for this trade exception too is to hold on to it, not rush to use it because you don't want to swing and miss. And if Kemba's knee's that bad, you use that trade exception and forget all these like power forwards you're looking at or wing players. You could bring in a pretty substantial guard using the trade exception.
No,
So
it's okay. We got Peyton Pritchard. We're fine.
so you're not a big Pritchard guy.
I'm really glad Danny Ainge drafted Peyton Pritchard. I'm
He
really
he
glad.
he looked pretty good in the first preseason game. Then he looked bad.
The worst
Uh,
pick in the draft.
well, we'll see. His nickname is Fast PP. Who doesn't want that nickname?
I mean, that just made me like him 7 times less.
All right, let's get into this. Is I think a recurring segment that we can do. Not even a segment, but it's something we can do to kind of keep track of this, Kev. And what we're gonna do, I don't know if we keep the name, but it's gonna be Dog of the Week. And what we'll do, and we're just gonna use the Christmas Day games here to make it simple. But what we'll do when the season gets up and running, as we record these and as we get on a fixed schedule, we'll look at the week to come, and we have to pick one underdog to win the game, and we'll keep a record going throughout the season.
Right.
Um,
Sounds good.
so I think I already explained that to you, but that's just for everyone listening too. But
Right.
so Kev, I'll let you go first. I underlined the underdogs on Christmas Day. I think the Celtics and Nets, as I checked and refreshed, I think they're actually a pick 'em. So they're neither one of them is an
Yeah.
underdog because it's Christmas. I think we can go either way with that.
Yeah. Calling the Celtics an underdog on this is a little weird. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Mavericks. I think they're gonna upset the Lakers. I think
Really?
I think I do.
Shit.
The defending champs are gonna lose their first game of the season.
Didn't you just argue with me that the Mavericks weren't that good?
I did, but
You literally
I also just completely overlooked them on my list. But to make up for that, I think LeBron. I mean, what did they just played 60 something days ago, right?
did.
I
Well,
think the
yeah.
Lakers. I think the Lakers are a little bit tired, maybe a little bit championship hungover. I think they're gonna get. I think they're gonna lose this game. Luka has something to prove. He came out looking a little fat too. Luka put on a little weight.
He's like kind of slow. He plays at his own speed. I watched those preseason games. He's like like I think he's slower. I know
Like I
that's
thought, I thought that was Paul Pierce there for a second.
like end of his career, Paul Pierce.
He constantly plays with like a piano on his back. It's I think the Mavericks are gonna win. I think they're out there to prove something.
Okay. I think that's a hot one. Like that's almost like a like you get double points if that happens because even though you have this belief in the hangover curse and like it's almost like you're betting against the Lakers than for the Mavericks, right? Am I
Yeah,
understanding your
yeah.
rationale correctly?
That's actually a good way to put it.
So mine, I guess this is kind of funny that we both did this. So you picked a team that you kind of just ragged on, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I think my pick for the dog of the week is the Pelicans over the Heat. So I guess we're both just kind of we're both covering our bases, but they're similar spreads too. We picked similar dogs. So the Mavericks are or the Lakers are 6 point favorites, and the Heat are 5.5 points favorites. So
Okay.
we kind of took very similar um dogs there for the first dog of the week. But we'll see.
No, I think
We gotta have
those are
some sort
both.
of
Yeah,
bet.
those are both very underdog picks, and I think the Heat are going to have a little bit of a hangover too to begin the season. I mean,
Yeah, we
they
both picked.
just played. It's like
Yeah. You know what's crazy? And I don't know if we talked about this, but some of these rookies that like just signed their actual contracts like 2 weeks ago, and now they're like, that's crazy to me that they're just jumping right in, being like, hey, go do it.
I mean, I guess they haven't played since March. So
Yeah, but
like
they haven't played with the team.
yeah, they haven't played with the team since March. I guess they've been training, but like they haven't had access to NBA facilities because they weren't drafted.
Mhm.
So like this whole training camp thing has been accelerated by like 10 times.
I know. I don't know. It's weird. Everyone's kind of freaking out too about like the 72 game. It's like way shorter. That's not that much shorter.
It's not that much shorter, and they're doing like I kind of like the home and home matchups that we have. So like we're gonna play like
Mm,
the Lakers and then play the Lakers again like the next day
yep.
or like something. I like that a lot.
Well, you got to do something to get back on track, I guess, eventually. Um, but I don't hate it. But it is weird. I feel like people aren't realizing it enough that all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're back to playing like the Lakers and the Heat. It's like they literally didn't have an off season.
This is why I say that championship was a little bit of a fraud. Sorry, Lakers fans, but this just doesn't even with just without the fans. I get that it'll feel a little bit more normal because we're gonna have home and away stadiums. Like people will
Yeah,
actually play at their
pumping
houses.
noise. Like,
It's just not the same without fans.
did you actually? Let me ask you about that before I get into that off topic thing. LeBron says multiple times this is one of the hardest championships to win of all time. He says if you weren't in the bubble, you wouldn't understand.
I mean,
I know you hate that.
that's such a condescending. Just makes me so upset. Like
Don't
I can't
worry.
even speak.
You'll have your opportunity to hate on LeBron in this show, I'm sure. You'll be able to
Yeah.
dance circles on him if they lose Christmas Day. But what I was going to ask you is, did you hear like some of the I saw like a compilation on YouTube, and it was like the airball chants that teams are pumping in. They have some like when someone shoots an airball, they have crowd noise now that goes airball, but it's like vicious. It's crazy. But
Yeah, some of the, especially I think it was ESPN, they were just pumping in so because the noise that ESPN was playing on the
mm,
broadcast was not in the stadium. So like only the people at home could hear it, and they were just pumping in way too loud.
well,
Like the
that's because
music and things.
like early on in the bubble, they pumped in music to the TV crowd, and it was like this is. I don't want to hear like a slow rap beat in the
And
background. While
also
someone's
note to ESPN, when you say we don't we want to hear them trash talk and we want to hear them swear and cuss and air each other's families out on the court. I don't care what it is. I want a hot mic on every player and I want to be able to hear everything. I
that'll
don't know
never happen.
why don't they give us this option? I don't understand. Make us
What do you
pay.
mean?
I'll pay. I
Like a
will pay
different
10.
channel? Like a different channel?
Like you watch the game and then you pay $10 a month to get the actual mic feed live from the game.
Okay, that's fine because then it's like Sirius XM radio. You're paying to
Yeah, I will absolutely pay
you're
for that.
signing off on all like, oh, there could be kids listening and whatnot. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you paid, you know what you're getting into. That's
Yeah,
fair, but they're
you have
never just gonna
people
show that on ESPN.
The Last Dance though, they showed that uncensored.
I think that
Cool.
was on a separate channel though, wasn't it? It was like ESPN
It
showed
was
the censored. No, ESPN showed the censored one, and then it was like
No, no,
ESPN
no, no. It was
HD or
ESPN
something.
two showed the censor. ESPN showed the
But it
uncensored.
was after. Okay, now that I'm remembering, it was after a certain time. It was after like 10 o'clock.
It said like 9 o'clock.
TV guidelines like matter based on time too.
People are
Like
so
you
soft.
can. I mean,
Oh,
everyone.
like your 7-year-old kid is not saying shit to his friends via text message. Oh my god,
It's
come
the
on.
time. I feel like the standards haven't changed, but kids getting iPhones at 2 years old now know every
Yeah,
single thing.
that's yeah. So your kid has access to the internet literally when he comes out of the womb with iPads in his
He
hand.
could teach you swears.
Yeah,
He knows more swears than you.
honestly, the kids use. I don't. They can teach me so much new lingo, but that's for another day.
That's also zero related to what this podcast is.
Yeah, it very much is, but we'll cover that topic in another day.
But all right, Kev. So we gave our predictions. We gave our dog of the week. What else before we close up shop tonight? Anything you're thinking
I'm
of?
again. This is for Celtics fans purely. I'm really glad we drafted Aaron Neesmith, and he hasn't taken a single shot in the preseason yet. And I'm also really glad that
He's actually looked good in the preseason. Have you watched the preseason?
I'm also really glad that we took Peyton Pritchard to look good against JJ Barea.
All right.
No, I'm not happy with the draft.
You don't say. But all right, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode. I think we got to figure out a time and a consistent recording schedule. We will do. And Kev, when you go back to Chicago, you should bring the mic with you because I think these people listening and watching think you sound amazing now.
Yeah, I do sound a lot better.
You
So it
can't
is
hear
coming to me.
yourself. You can't hear yourself.
I'm assuming I sound a lot better.
Okay. All right. So you can follow Kev on Twitter at
the Kevyaz75.
I think there might be an underscore somewhere. I
There
don't know.
might be an underscore after Kev.
You can follow me on Twitter at EvGuyBoston. The show account is 2balls1hoop.
Go watch, subscribe, like,
Comment,
comment,
follow.
boom, follow, and that's your show.